and Coach Bruner's got them in the weight room, every day. So I'm sure they're looking forward to that game. But they're going to also have a circle on their back as well because they're one of the top teams, and everybody's going to bring their best game to Crawford, and I guess we'll just have to see how it plays out.
Do you have any, hot takes? Something that, something that may happen in the Northern 10 this year? It was already mentioned, Bucyrus could start out 4-0, which hasn't happened in forever. But do you have any just thoughts that, hey, this might happen this season?
Man.
I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah, you are putting me on the spot.
It's like Coach's Corner. I got to put the athletes on. I got to put the media on there, too, every once in a while.
Let's go with it. Bucyrus starts the season 4-0. Why not? That? Tim's shaking his head over at me. Do you have any hot takes, Tim? I don't, but...
Here's a legit question. Is Colonel Crawford a regional championship caliber team?
Yeah, I think so. I failed to mention Payne DeGray defensively. I think they are. I think they can make it that far. We mentioned the athletes. They got Parker Weithman out at wide receiver. Of course, he was a freshman last year, and so now he's able to step up and come in and probably a bigger part of the game than he was last year. So I think that's key for them. He was a sophomore last year. He's a junior this year, but still one of the and now he's an upperclassman considered. So now he can kind of step up and play that pivotal role. And he's an all-around athlete, so probably be returning kicks for them and whatnot. And so you've seen some of the good kick returners from Crawford. That's how they score points. And they have special teams as well with Zizzo as their kicker. Yeah. And he's a tremendous kicker. So that can win you games sometimes.
Any weak spots on this team?
That's a good question. They graduated Bruner last year defensively, so maybe we're looking at linebacker. But of course, it seems like they just breed linebackers. Yeah. And like I mentioned, Payne DeGray on the edge. I think, Yeah, and your boy Thu. There's always a Thu, isn't there? But I don't think I can name one, but maybe that.
And there's other quality competition in Northern 10. We know Crawford probably going to make the playoffs if they do what they're supposed to. But what other teams? We always know about Cary, Mohawk, but how many teams do you think have the ability to make this 12-team playoff this season?
Out of the N10?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So let's just run them down. I think Crawford definitely does, obviously. Cary, Mohawk, it depends on how, they start the season. Mm-hmm. And it is, it's tricky going to that 12 teams because we saw teams, it's not in the N10, but we saw a team like Crestline make the playoffs last year. Really, it's those top three that I would say.
There's always that other team that sneaks in.
Yeah, there's always another team that sneaks in. You just never know.
And your thoughts? We were thinking we were going to get our 12-team playoff back before COVID. COVID hit. Everybody made the playoffs. Yeah. Some people, I'm not going to mention names, got greedy, and we went to 16 for a while. But we're finally to this format that the coaches wanted at least. 12 teams. Top 4 teams get a bye. Everybody else plays into that. But what are your thoughts of this new format, 12 teams?
I like it. I think, 16 may have been a little too much, especially when you see teams getting blown out in the first round. Now,
people saying they didn't want to play in it either.
Yeah, and you get rewarded if you're, one of the top 4 teams. You get a bye. So based on that, I think it's nice. You're not going to have those blowouts. And, of course, we have blowouts in the state championship games. So
poor Hillsdale.
Yeah.
Okay, so that'll do it for you. I appreciate you coming on, Jared. You'll be able to watch Jared on the OH Report as well. We will have Colonel Crawford Fairbanks live and free on the OH Report. Also, you can listen to it on WBCO. If you're outside the range of WBCO, can't listen to it, just watch it on the OH Report because, like I said, not only does he have a voice for radio, he has a face for OH Report as well. But, Jared, appreciate you. Have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow.
Yep, thanks.
Next up, we'll talk with actually his color commentator for tomorrow's game between Crawford and Fairbanks. Tim Byrie, Coach Tim Byrie. And I'm just going to start in this game. There is some more headlines to this game than some people think because the head coach of Fairbanks, we at least know well from the OH Report. You know well as well, but that's gonna be fun for us tomorrow.
Yeah, Coach Carroll's been around for a long time.
Yep, Dave Carroll.
Obviously head coach many years at Crawford, and an assistant at Pleasant through the state championship years. Him and his brother, and so he's got a team that's kind of inexperienced, he said, but hey, they're going to be sound fundamentally.
Yeah,
they're going to hit the snot out of you because they're going to be physical as can be, and if he gets his way, they're going to run the football a lot.
Yeah,
and so I think that's something that Crawford's going to have to be able to deal with, is the physicality that I'm sure Fairbanks is going to play with.
And what are your thoughts on Crawford? You've done your research for them as well as you're going to game tomorrow, and it seems like they're the favorites in the Northern 10, but also Northern 10 football. You never know what could happen on any given week.
Oh, exactly. I got to see them scrimmage. Of course, the scrimmage was against
Shelby and Perkins.
Shelby and Perkins, two pretty good Division IV teams.
They're not bad.
Two teams that I both would say, if you asked me what you asked earlier, one of the guys. Yeah, both of those teams can win a regional championship as well, and I'm sure both of them are expecting it. After watching them play, but it was at times Crawford was they were playing a lot of guys.
Yeah.
They didn't play a lot of guys both ways, and so they were playing a lot of guys. Coach Bruner was really trying to develop. You could see that first scrimmage, a lot of depth, and so there were times when Crawford held their own, and there were times where both teams, Shelby and Perkins, would break a long one, and it was just, you could see that was the difference between Division 6 and Division 4 was their speed.
Yeah.
The overall speed. But, they also held their own. And, I know you asked Jared about, is there a weakness to them? And the only one I saw, but again, both teams that they scrimmage, obviously, Shelby has maybe the best quarterback in the whole area.
Yeah, good. He's pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, if he was 6'2", he would probably be going to, some unbelievably.
Well, the Air Force, which is still good, but he'd be
which
going
is still really
big,
good. But he would be going
Big Ten, SEC,
he'd be in the Big Ten or SEC if he was bigger.
Yeah,
because he's that good. And Perkins also had a nice quarterback with good size and really good receivers, and so that's where they gave up the big plays, was in the passing game. So if they get into I don't know, like a team like Seneca East, who has Parks coming back as their quarterback, I'm guessing, because he threw for over 2,000 yards last year. If they got some couple fast receivers, they could give maybe Crawford a little problem, but they're very good.
Yeah. Any other teams you like in the Northern 10 before we move on from that?
Like I said, and I asked Josh a little bit about it, is about what else does Seneca East have. He wasn't real sure because he hadn't gotten out to see him practice yet. But I think then there's just the unknowns. Like Mohawk. They're gonna bring some new guys in. They got a few guys left. Craig Carey has got some. They always got linemen.
Yeah.
And so are they going to be able to and a good running back? Are they going to find a quarterback or moving a guy from tight end to quarterback? Are those teams going to be able to compete and have some other guys step up? But Crawford's just got a lot of guys. I mean, you look at it and you can say, well, they got like 58, 64 guys, whatever it is on their roster. Well, that's okay if for the rest of the teams, if 40 of them aren't very good. The problem is if they got 60 guys, they got 25, 28 guys that are pretty good players.
Yeah.
That are ready to play varsity football.
Let's move on to another team that WBCO and QEO covers. It's the Galleon Tigers out of the MOAC. We talked, Shelby's got themselves a team that might win the MOAC of Ontario. It's coming back. But what your thoughts on Galleon? Because they made some noise last year as well. Yeah, they did, and made the playoffs. And Coach Dick is a good friend of mine. We coached together at Fredericktown for a while, and so I haven't gotten over to see a practice yet, but I did see their scrimmage with Lexington, and they got speed on top of speed. For one thing. Coach Dick, the other thing is last year in the middle of the season, he switched quarterbacks. Yep. And
he went to Aiden Schmidt, over a 2.5-year starter, and moved the Prosser kid over to wide receiver and, slot back and played him all over the field. And Schmidt, even though he was similar in a way, size-wise and different things to Prosser, he just, I don't know, he gave him a spark.
Yeah.
And they really finished strong during the scrimmage against Lex. Even though they were blowing the whistle real quick, he made some runs. And before it, I was listening to Coach Dick talk to the refs, and the Lex coach, and the Lex coach was saying, "I don't want my quarterback touched."
Yeah.
And Coach Dick was saying, once my quarterback is out of the pocket, you can do whatever you want with him. I don't care, because he wanted him to run.
Yeah.
But they got speed. They got him. They got the Chambers kid. They just got guys that can run. Their problem is they're real small defensively.
Yeah.
So and he's going to find out quickly if it's going to be a problem, because St. Mary's, who they opened the season with, is big and wants to run the ball like 100 times. So he'll see if their size can hold up on defense. He's got veterans. He's got guys that made a lot of tackles at linebacker, but they're going to have to get to the football.
Another team that you guys are going to be covering, and Buckeye Central will be playing them, Crestline, but they had a cool little moment in their final scrimmage. They closed down one of their former facilities where they played. The seats were condemned, but people still came out and they played one more. They closed down their place. You saw it. What was
they
it like
closed
being there?
down the junkyard. I mean,
yep.
You talk about history and it just the guys that have played there. I mean, and we're not talking about just guys that only people in Crawford County know. Mm-hmm. Gates Brown played in the junkyard, who was one of the great pinch hitters of all time in the major league for the Tigers. The Godfreys all played there, that all went on to, some of them coached in college, some of them, were announcers for ESPN. The Harbaughs all, not the ones that everyone knows, the two coaches, but their dad played at Crestline. Those, and all the Harbaughs grew up there, and all those guys, and the many, I remember going there and coaching, and as an opponent. And then one of my last years of coaching football, I actually coached football there, which some people keep forgetting that season. I won't mention any names, but one of them is upstairs right now talking, that keeps forgetting that team is 05 or 06 when Aaron Ecker, who's the current head coach at Ontario,
yes,
he was our quarterback. I was the offensive coordinator. John DePietro had come back to coach and brought some of the old guys with him. And, we finished the regular season 8-2, went to the playoffs. Unfortunately, our best player rolled his ankle on the opening kickoff against Hopewell Loudon, and we ended up losing the game. But we had a great year that year, and, I'll tell you, the junkyard was rocking, that year.
Yeah.
And but they played that game the other night. What I love about it for me is Hastings Robinette, their head coach, who's in his second year, played on that team that I coached. He was a sophomore, one of the starters, and he's really bringing the program back. I mean, they made the playoffs last year.
They did.
And he's got 35 guys playing this year, which is the most they've had in a long time. And again, I said, well, our 35 guys are someone can they, guys that can play. He said, well, we got the kids back from last year, many of them, and we got some guys, so we don't have to play everyone both ways. Mm-hmm. And he's really excited, and so am I. I'm excited for him, and that's what. So my big take is, unlike Jared, my partner, that you asked about Bucyrus or Buckeye Central starting out with a win, they will start out with a loss. Crestline will win tomorrow night
will get the
or
win
Friday
there.
night. That's
There's
my
your
big
take.
take.
On Friday. There you go. Well, I appreciate it, Tim. Looking forward to listening to your call with Jared Crawford Fairbanks tomorrow night. You can listen to it on WBCO.
Absolutely.
We're available, but if not, you're not able to pick it up, OH Report will have it live and free on Facebook and YouTube.
Absolutely.
Tim, appreciate it. Thank
All
you
right,
very
thanks,
much.
Travis.
And looking forward to work with you.
Enjoy it.
Final guest of the night out of Marion County from WZMO.
You saved the best for last,
Yes,
right?
I did, Mr. Jeff Ruth. Jeff, welcome into the phone. You hear his wonderful voice every week on the phone board, him talking to Davey Jones. Davey, also 50 years.
Yeah.
We had cake earlier, everything like that. Jeff, you've been part of most of those 50 years on the phone board with him as well.
I met him back in the early '80s when I first came to town, and we ran into each other at lunch one day, and we just kind of hit it off. And every Friday,
you just can't get away from him now. He just stuck with you, right?
Every Friday night after my ball game, I'll call him and get the rundown on what was going on locally.
Now, you're not going to be on the crew with us tomorrow night, but you are going to be on calling the game WZMO. Our third game and final game we'll have River Valley Elgin.
Be a packed press box tomorrow.
Yeah, it'll be a packed press box tomorrow, but an old rivalry renewed.
Yeah,
coming up here. If you want to, just preview the game we got coming up tomorrow.
Well, teams that used to be in the MOAC and the old, the N10 and Elgin, numbers wise, they just had to basically drop out. And they've been in a couple different leagues, and they're with Ridgedale now in the Northwest Central Conference. So we see a little bit of Elgin and Ridgedale, but we focus primarily on the MOAC with River Valley, Pleasant, and Harding. River Valley, last couple of years, they'll win 51-48, or they'll lose
the shootouts. Yes.
They'll lose 48-45. Those kind of games. They are a team that will throw the football. They'll throw the football, and even when you're up 3 scores with 2 minutes to go, and you just want to take time off the clock, they'll still throw the football. I did talk to the coach yesterday, and he said, we're working more on a running game now. Whether that's coach speak or not, we'll find out. But they're a team. Obviously, they're going to come out. They're going to look to throw the football. They had a really good quarterback the last couple of years. Just threw the ball all over the place. The quarterback this year actually hasn't played football since 7th grade.
Really?
He's a very good athlete, excellent basketball player, tall. He's a good athlete, and they just needed somebody to kind of step in, and so he's stepping in. Watched a little bit of practice yesterday. Some of the throws were tight spiral, right on the money, and there were other ones that he threw the ball 10 yards short and threw it into the ground.
Yeah.
So it's going to be obviously a learning process as you go along. But River Valley's got 70-some kids. Elgin's got, I think, 36 or 37 on the roster. So I'm glad to see the Thursday night game, basically the only game in town in Marion. So I'm sure a lot of people will be there.
Yeah. And there's going to be a lot of people at Pleasant and Harding games. Like you said, you guys are going to be covering them as well. So if you want to give a little preview on those two teams, first start with Pleasant, who finished 5-6 last year, made the postseason.
Last couple years, they've been right around that mark. Haven't had a lot of success in the playoffs. Got a brand new coach this year, and when I say brand new, he came from Nebraska, where he had coached
out of nowhere.
Yeah, literally out of nowhere, and his wife wanted to kind of move back more towards the East Coast because he's actually from South Carolina and played college ball in Georgia, and then coached in West Virginia.
Fairmont State, actually, one of my rivals when I went to college.
Okay,
so.
yeah. And Fairmont State's had a very good football program.
Yes, they have been.
Several Marion County coaches have coached at Fairmont. And he actually applied for the Harding job. And Harding said, well, we've already filled it, but Pleasant's looking for a job. And he didn't know anything about Pleasant. So he looked online and saw Pleasant. And one of the guys that he used to go to school with at Fairmont actually is at Pleasant in the administration.
Yeah.
So he called and says, is this the Steve Ringer that went to Fairmont? And it was like, yeah. And it's like, okay, tell me about your school. And so he came out and interviewed and got the job. He's interesting because he's out in Nebraska and Kansas. They play 8-on-8 football.
Really?
So it's going to be a little different, I think, for him. And, it's one thing if you're an assistant coach and you moved up to be a head coach or whatever, but you got a guy that's coming in, 1,000 miles away. He knows nothing about this. He knows about the tradition and so forth, but he didn't know any of the kids. Kids don't know him. So there's obviously going to be a learning curve with that. But he's really happy to be there, and I think he's in it for the long haul. I think he wants to be at Pleasant for a long time.
That's good. And then moving over to Harding, they didn't want to say high hopes. They had some expectations. They thought things would go their way in some games. They finished 1-9.
Very disappointed.
Very disappointed.
They won the
season.
first game last year against Mount Vernon. It was a game that we did. And I think, okay, they kind of set the bar. They can win a few games. And I can think of at least 2, maybe 3 games where they were leading late in the ball game or were up 2 scores at the end of the third quarter, just couldn't finish. They also have their new coach played at Harding, was very successful, was an assistant coach at Harding, and a couple of years ago he actually had applied for the Harding job, didn't get it, but he got the Pleasant job. So he'd been at Pleasant for the last couple of years, and when the job opened up at Harding, he applied and got it. He's got a lot of enthusiasm. He's brought the Ridgedale coach from the last couple of years, brought him over. A couple guys that have coached at River Valley and Harding have joined him. So he's got a really good coaching staff with him.
And just a final question for you. Just what some expectations for some of these teams down in your area? You see any playoff runs from any of these teams?
I see a lot of 5-5.
You see,
I really do, yeah. I don't know that anybody's going to separate themselves. Harding. Harding has got to be better than they were last year.
Yeah.
But whether they can win 5 or 6 games again remains to be seen. But yeah, I see a lot of 5-5, 4-6, or 6-4s with all 5 of the teams in Marion.
What team do you think has the best ability to go 6-4 out of those 3?
I would think just River Valley, just by numbers.
And they're in a tough conference. We already talked about Guy and Shelby, Ontario, but they could still.
Yeah, whether they can supplant, Shelby or a couple of the upper echelon teams in the MOAC, remains to be seen. But I certainly think they'll do okay in the MOAC. As I said, Harding, 1-9 last year. They got to be a lot better this year. But whether they can win 6 or 7, that I don't know.
All right, Jeff Ruth will be on the call of River Valley Elgin on WZMO. We will also be there.
Yep.
Won't have him on the call for it, but we'll have a crew there too. But if you're in the Marion area, you probably pick him up, listen to his call. Put us on mute. You can watch.
107.1.
107.1. Jeff Ruth, I appreciate you as always. Look forward to listening to you on the phone board
and I'm
each
sure
week as
I
well.
will see you at several games throughout the course of the season.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Ruth. That'll do it. You're good to go. I want to welcome back in our other host for tonight here on the video version of the phone board preview. That is Mr. Brian Skoronsky. It's here, sir. Football tomorrow.
What?
Week 1. Yeah, right?
3 games right here? Live and free?
3 games and then what? 8 and then 1, right?
We have 14 total games coming up over the weekend, including the couple of highlights that we are going to do. So it has arrived with force. We'll be doing more games than ever before this season, and all free of charge right here on our Facebook, our YouTube channels, and we'll have special clips on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. So it's going to be by far the biggest year for OH Report ever. And Travis, I am just very excited for you moving into new territories.
Yes.
Louisville, Oroville,
yes, sir.
Moving into Eastern Ohio, Stark County specifically, has so much cachet to it. So, man, we're building the brand.
Yes, we are. That's why we are the OH Report, not just the North Central Ohio or the Mansfield Report or anything like that. It's because we want to go all around the state, and we're really starting to do that now. We've been asking questions to the media, but I want to ask you, who's your dark horse to make a run this year out of our teams? So we have a lot. Big Walnut's probably going to make a run in our area. You got the Shelbys, you got the Colonel Crawfords, teams like that. But who's your dark horse?
I'm going to give you 2, Travis, both from the same league. And because they're literally dark horses, I'm going with the Clear Fork Colts.
Okay.
Because I think expectations are not as high as they should be for a team that returns a lot of dudes.
Yeah.
I know Jay Jackson is gone, and they don't have Appleman anymore, and they're missing 3 really key seniors. But then you think about all the other guys that are back. Now Brokaw's got a couple of years under his belt as a head coach.
Yes, sir.
And just observing them during their jamboree against Madison. I like the coaching staff. I like where they have the kids. They have them focused constantly, and that's in a scrimmage. So I do think Clear Fork gets off to a nice start to the season. Perkins is a tough test week 1. Zanesville coming off an 0-10 season, and then beyond that, there's a few winnable games for them where I think they can come out of the gates feeling great about themselves. And also within the MOAC, just because everybody's discounting, no more Bod Penn Miller, they graduate all these guys. I think Ontario surprises many folks. I see them winning 6 games or more this season.
I like it. And we will talk more about this Friday night, first episode of Friday Night Pigskin. Hopefully, we're going to get on there about 11:30, maybe a little bit later, but we will have it for you live and free after our biggest week 1 of the year. But that'll wrap it up here for the Phone Board Media Preview Show. Like we said, tomorrow we'll have 3 games for you: Crawford, Fairbanks, Mohawk, Calvert, and then River Valley and Elgin, and then a lot more coming on Friday night. But that'll do it for Adam Thompson, our producer, Brian Skoronsky, myself, Travis Berardi, and everybody here at North Central Ohio Media Group. I'm Travis Berardi saying good night, everybody.